Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany Branch. I am a nutrition health coach, and my company is called Figs and Radishes. Today, I am going to be interviewing Jordan Ethers, and I hope I said that right. She is a acupuncture here in Houston, and she is a doctor of acupuncture. So, excuse me. Let me make sure we get those credentials in there. We want to thank her for sitting with us and squeezing us in her schedule today. We're so happy to be here. Jordan, would you introduce yourself, please?
Oh, yes. So thank you for having me on, Brittany. My name is Dr. Jordan Ethers. I am a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine here in Houston, Texas, for all of you Houstonians. One of my main focuses is I'm really focusing now on couples fertility and reproductive health and hormonal, helping people balance their hormones, helping people get through menstrual issues and fibroids and things like that. So I'm really here for women when it comes to that, and the men, because they matter too.
We don't want to forget about you guys listening in.
Some of the things that, the fertility things would not be possible without them. So.
Right. It takes both. It takes two to tango. So my first question for you, if you can answer for the public, and this is definitely for people who probably don't know what acupuncture is, can you explain to us the practice of acupuncture, please?
Okay. So acupuncture is a part of traditional Chinese medicine, and traditional Chinese medicine is the Eastern medicine. And so what we know here in the United States is Western medicine, the one that you always see on TV and all of, all of everything, TV shows and everything like that.
Right.
You never get to really see the Eastern medicine, the more holistic side of medicine. So TCM is its own, well, and I'm saying TCM is short for traditional Chinese medicine,
right?
Is its own medical system in itself. So it is of acupuncture. There's the Chinese medicine side, which are the herbs, the herbal formulas, the tinctures and things like that a lot of people are familiar with. And then we go into moxibustion and cupping and even going into the food therapy. So the food therapy on its own is medicine, and just telling people how to eat for their specific constitution is a form of medicine for us. And then we have the like the channel manipulation or acupressure, which is really called Tui Na. And so those are specific manipulations that we actually do on channels. Like a lot of people look at it as acupressure. So like you're literally pressing or manipulating an acupuncture point without a needle. And then we also have the Qigong and the Tai Chi, which are movement exercises. And that's the movement of medicine, basically. So movement in itself is a medicine as well. So those are all of those things we can pretty much prescribe a patient or set up in their treatment plan that's going to go along with what is happening with their root cause, because that's what we focus on. So there are two things we kind of focus on in TCM, is that we focus on the root cause. So what caused you to get to this point in your life? And also the branches. So what has manifest. So what you can see your outward presentation now. So what's happening to you now? So, we might have somebody come in and they're maybe suffering with a multitude of things, right? They might have like a woman might come in, she might have menstrual issues going on. And then she's also very stressed, but then she also has been diagnosed with a chronic illness, maybe a thyroid condition, PCOS, or diabetes or something like that. And so we're always going to go back to see, well, what is the root cause of this issue? Why is she where she's at?
Right.
And so that's how we work. But most people in the United States that do know of this medicine, they mostly know of us as licensed acupuncturists, but we're so much more than Acupuncturist.
Yay. I love it. I really do. And one of the things that you mentioned is just getting to the root cause. And so before I ask you my next question, I do just want to ask you this before. Can you just tell me, because I know in TCM, that they take more time with their patients. Can you walk me through, I guess, an initial appointment with a patient, and just how much time do you think that you would spend getting to know a patient so that you can figure out the root cause of their issue?
I usually spend about 90 minutes to 2 hours with each patient when I'm doing an initial intake, because I have to go through. So I ask them questions up front, like, what do you do? What do you do for a living? Do you have children? Like, I'm trying to figure out what's your background first. So I'm just getting to know you. And then I want to go into how do these things affect your life? So I'm asking, how many hours do you work? Do you currently do something or work somewhere or have a position or something that is contributing to your current state right now? Like, is this one of the issues that you're having with your health? Is this causing health issues for you? And then I move on and I ask them about their past health history. And then for number one, the top is the diet. I have to ask all the questions about, well, what have you been, what do you eat? Do you crave certain foods? What kind of diet do you have? Because everybody has, is either on a certain type of diet or they're trying to or something. So like, we do have a lot of people that come in, especially at the beginning of the year, they're on a fad type diet, And, I have nothing against a lot of these different diets, but they have to be used in an appropriate manner. So sometimes people come in and, let's say, for instance, keto, and then they're eating a lot of cheese. And, even though that fits in that category for keto, maybe that's not appropriate for what they're trying to do or what needs to happen for them. So when it's important for me to dive deeper into that, and then we talk about common food allergens that even if you're not allergic to it, it could be most likely be contributing to your inflammation. So I'm just going through asking all these questions, like, what do you eat? What type of water do you drink, for one? So a lot of people may still be drinking tap water. So that's a big issue. We don't need to be doing that at all. Like, no, not a zero.
Get off the tap, y'all. Go
we
ahead
and have time
in the filter water. Get your electrolytes.
Minimally, you need to be filtering your water. And then we have to talk about the types of filters too. So it's like, if the patient is already like saying, well, I drink this type of water and, it fits into the, into what would contribute to their health, I don't really have to go that in depth with it. And then I move on to our basic TCM questions, where we're asking about the body temperature. Like, how do you feel when you're like just sitting, just normal sitting? Do you feel really hot? Are you more hot natured? Are you more cold natured? Do you always have to have a jacket? Those tell us certain things about their health. So if they're not regulating their body temperature properly, that's giving us some information. Then we ask about like their thirst. Do they how much water do they drink? Then we're asking, do you have, so then we kind of go through a review of systems, like kind of go through the cardiovascular part, like asking, do they have issues with heart palpitations and chest pain, things like that, racing heart. Then I go and ask about their lung health, and I ask about digestion, and I just go into, how are their bowel movements? How are things moving out? Urination, how are you sleeping? How's your energy? And so we're asking all of these questions. Each question is giving me another clue as to what's happened to them or what is happening. And then I even ask them, like, how are you emotionally? How are you from day to day? If all I get is a fine, and you've given me prior to that, because we ask a lot of these questions on the intake form too. Mm-hmm. And so if I look back on the intake form and see that some other things are kind of like, that doesn't seem like a fine to me. So then I'm asking, but you say your stress was really high. So what's going on? Mm-hmm. And because we're so used to saying I'm fine.
We just want to push it back, and we don't really take the time to really care about us and to kind of notice us. If sometimes it feels like society makes it like a no-no to kind of stop and relax. We just want to keep going. I always tell people we live in a go society, and we need to stop and take care of us. And we wear so many hats, whether you're a husband or a wife or a mom or a dad, you're a school teacher, you're a banker. Like at the end of the day, you're just you. And it's okay just to focus on you. So I definitely agree with that. And I just want to say, I don't know if anybody noticed her answer to that question was that she said she spent 2 hours to 90 minutes with patients. And I wanted to stop you then, but I didn't, because I just wanted to red flag that a little bit, because people nowadays, and people watching this is probably like fainting because we spend 10 minutes in the office with our doctor. When's the last time we went to a Western medicine doctor? Western medicine is to describe us in the United States, our style of medication and how we treat our patients here in this land, this country. And so we don't spend that much time with our patients. It's kind of like an in and out. You spend 2 hours in the waiting room, and then when you get back to see your doctor, you spend I'm sorry.
So how many times I've been through that as a patient?
It's funny and it's sad at the same time, because I know everyone can kind of relate to, I spend so much time in the waiting room to get in the back and only spend a few minutes with my doctor. And then when I get in my car, I realize I didn't even ask them my top 5 questions, It's just...
No, or like, I forgot, like, are you... Okay, I've even had this happen to me. I went in to the doctor because I was feeling, something coming up, or something was happening to me. By the time I get there, it's not happening anymore.
Right.
By the time, you know what I'm saying? Like, by the time I've seen the doctor, it's not even happening anymore. I don't even know what I need help with. You know what I'm saying? Crazy.
It's probably because you had to wait so long and it cleared up in the waiting room, and by the time you got back there, you was just give me the bill, sir. I'm sorry to waste your time.
Like, I don't. So what are you coming in for? Well, I don't know.
Let me ask you this next question. Let me ask, why did you want to become an acupuncturist? What about this career or just style of medicine interests you?
So essentially, and I know we talked about this before,
right?
It was the need to help someone heal by not using synthetic medication. Like, that was a good way to put it. Basis.
That was a good way to put it.
Because I'm looking at things and I'm like, well, if somebody wants to heal, it seems like they would have to use something that comes from the earth.
Right.
Our bodies are of the earth, come from the earth. We're of this, thing. And if something is naturally growing out of the earth, and there's knowledge base that you can use these different herbs and put them together in a formula, a balanced formula at that. Because that was one of the things when I got that attracted me, was that they seem to have it all together. Like, they seem to understand, when I say they, the people in traditional Chinese medicine, or even the Asian culture, really. And I know even for us as Black people, people of color, whatever you want to call yourself, I know we even have our own medicine things that we've passed down, because my great grandmother, she knew how to use herbs. I didn't know her, but this is what I learned through asking questions, asking my mom questions, just finding out things. over time, realizing that it's kind of been passed down that, I was attracted to doing this. I grew up watching my mom, even my great aunt and her mom, talk about, what you could take for this. And, and these weren't medicines coming from the store. So then when I learned that it was a whole system out here, and it was a whole school that I could go to learn about this and how to really put all of this together, I was like, yeah, this fits. I feel comfortable. This is where I know I'm supposed to be, because of the experience that I've had growing up with family members who have been passed along in the medical system, the United States medical system, and, watching them not really being helped, not really getting the answers, but being more managed. Wow. And I just didn't want to be a part of that. I had my own issues that I had to deal with. I had a thyroid condition, and I was the very first doctor that I saw basically kind of condemned me to surgery. So
sir, ma'am, can you talk to me first? Let's not sign me up for surgery on Thursday. I just met you on Monday.
No lies told, this was, my experience. And I'm sitting here and, at the time my parents were with me, because I had just, the week before, they had just gotten me out of the emergency room because of my thyroid condition, because it had gotten so bad. And, but it got so bad so quickly, because prior to that, I was told that I had a sinus infection.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the polite way, everyone, to just say is that's crazy. Right.
So,
yeah. Yeah.
So, this is before it got to where it was, and we're trying to get answers. I was, I had a sinus infection. I'm like, okay, it don't really feel like a sinus infection, but okay. But anyway, so me going through all these different things and, kind of putting the pieces together, I'm like, well, I don't think they have the answers. Not them alone, no. Now, can they help somebody in emergency? Definitely. Please go if you're having an emergency. If an accident happens, they have the technology. They have the medications that are going to work fast. Those same medications are not going to be something that a person can use long term. And so that's where I decided I was going to come in and be on this side of medicine, where I'm working with people who are navigating chronic issues, trying to clean up their life, trying to get a treatment plan together, somebody that wants to work with somebody. And I'm working with people that come in once a week. They have an hour, they set out an hour of their time, and they want to really get to the bottom of their issue.
They want to work with someone who not afraid to get deep, if I can say that, someone who wants to take the time to kind of help me really heal this on the inside of me versus managing, and just saying, hey, come in for your 3-week checkup so that I can write you another prescription to manage the disease. But that's really about it,
Because I noticed that, and because just through what I went through, but I noticed even outside of that people are just tired of why do I have to keep taking this?
Right.
When do I, and I've always heard that, even from family members or, patients, all this stuff, right? Why do I have to keep taking this? And
That's what's
or
attractive
what's the
about
engagement?
alternative medicine. Yeah, is
Yeah,
that alternative medicine is trying to wean you off of, as you said, synthetic medicine, and as you just said, it's not sustainable, or we at least don't want you to get used to the idea of this is how you are supposed to sustain your life, because really in Western medicine, that's really what it is. You're on something for the next 30 years. When you think about maybe blood pressure medication or other types of medication, it's something, or insulin therapy is something that is basically saying you're going to be on this for the rest of your life, and that's
this
it.
is what you are.
Right.
This is who you are now.
That's your new identity.
Yeah. And people are tired. They don't want to be identified with that. They want to get back to who they were before
right.
this happened.
Right. Yeah.
They want their life back. They want their body back. They want their mind back.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I don't want to have to take this. Mm-hmm. Of course, if there are certain times where you do have to take medication, yes, right, to get out of a situation, but that shouldn't be your destiny. Like that shouldn't be where you're supposed to be.
Right.
For the rest of your life. Are you kidding me? For the rest of your life. Right. And that was never what Western medicine was supposed to be about.
Right.
To begin with. If we go back in history, prior to what's that man's name? I'm scared to say his name because I don't want to get your channel messed up. But
just let it loose. Just be honest.
What'd you say?
I say let it loose, be honest.
Okay. So for your people that's listening, we gotta go back in history real quick. Mm-hmm. I'll take it back before John D. Rockefeller and his friends and his crew got into everything. Okay. So because there's a whole thing with that. Mm-hmm. And some of you might not have to do the research, but somebody else might need to. You may have already heard this, but in Western, like the medicine in America was like, they were doing homeopathy. Mm-hmm. They were looking at people's tongues. Mm-hmm. They were palpating, they were touching, they were very into, yes. And there was osteopathic medicine, they were doing a lot of manipulations. And I mean, they were using herbs. They were using homeopathy, they were using herbs, they were using stuff. And they had it together from what I've read, okay? It seemed like it was working.
Right.
And there was, I think it was probably probably the early 1900s or something, or late 1800s, whatever. I don't have the time frame right. But, oil was booming. Rockefeller, who I forgot what the other people name, but I know for sure he was really into it. He had a really big part in this. Mm-hmm. He looked at it and was like, we can synthesize, I can make synthetic chemicals from the same herbs that they're using for medicine. I can do this, and I can make it more broad. I can make it faster, all this stuff, right? Right. And so he works his way into the medical system. Mm-hmm. American Medical Association, stuff like that, into the medical schools. And so that's how we get the really big pharma companies that we now are dealing with. Yeah, right. Because their basis, their rooting actually started in greed. Mm-hmm. Maybe the people that's working there now, they don't really understand that. But that's how things started. And so when things start off with, we're not helping, he wasn't there to help anybody. He just saw another business venture.
Opportunity, basically. Yeah. A profit.
So we're dealing with something that's rooted in this. Mm-hmm. There is no way you're going to be able to climb out of that.
Right, to really get cured, basically, to heal 100%.
Yeah. And that's, I don't care what anybody says. That's where we have to start out at. Mm-hmm. We have to talk about that. Right. I don't care who is a doctor. They my friend, not my cousin, my mom, my dad, whatever, if they're a doctor, we got to talk about that.
Okay.
Before anything else. You know, yes, you might be in your profession helping somebody, fine. But if you don't understand where what your stuff is rooted in,
right,
and why you're doing a certain protocol or why you're following a certain procedure, it might not have to do with helping that person. Let's just be real. It might, but you think it is.
Right.
In your heart.
It's just what they taught you.
Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that you work with men and women on fertility. Can you walk me through your process on working with these patients on fertility?
Generally, what we just started to do actually is doing couples appointments. So both partners come in, man and woman, they come in and we talk, we go through doing intake. Now, you know, that intake's going to be a little bit longer. It's longer than 2 hours.
Right. We really getting into this, getting to know you really well.
Yeah. So now I'm asking, I'm going to ask all of the questions I usually ask, then I have to ask some more intimate questions.
Right.
And it helps me build a picture on what's been going on, who is, who may need more work than the other.
Okay.
Or who actually is the contributor to who may be the cause of them not being able to get pregnant.
Right.
It's not always the woman. It's not, we default to that, but this not always her. Sometimes the man, he's really, I've seen this a lot. The man takes on a lot of pressure from his job or his responsibilities, or feeling like he has to take on all these things and he's really stressed out. Right. And he also doesn't let it go. He doesn't have an outlet for it. So he just takes. And the woman, she's doing her part. She's doing everything, trying to, figure it out on her own. She's going to different appointments, doing all of the tests and all that stuff. And he may or may not have time, or may not even want to make the time, because sometimes, just don't fully understand how this thing works. Right. So then, I'm asking, I'm figuring out all these things, and then I make them a plan up, and based on how they presented, how their health history has gone up until this point, their habits, what they eat, what they drink, things like that, things that we might need to work on, make something better. But one of the main things that I do, especially when we're working with this part, is very delicate. I always tell the patients that number one, they need to detox first. Okay. And start getting rid of things that could be inflaming them, whether it's foods, products, even the air they breathe, all of those little scents and fragrances and all that stuff can contribute to different hormone interruptions.